Hey, we'll bring back for some more updates on the ram50. Did make it to the track just the other night. So ram50 there. Zoom out a little. Beautiful little truck. So I did just hit the engine bay with a little bit of red. I don't know if you guys probably seen it before, but as you can see down in here, it's still black. Get my other light here. It's really nice and bright. So you can still see the black down in there. It's not the most pretty paint job, just something I went over with quick. I did have some spots down here where I wanted to get some paint on it. From where the battery tray sat here, you can kind of see that spot there. I drilled out the spot welds and cleaned those up, and it's just been sitting there collecting a little bit of surface rust. Clean the rust up and got it taken care of. It does look much better. Eventually I would like to go over this silver gray here, bring it back to the color that it should be. Should all be red. The guy who did work to this before I ever started on it painted all that stuff black. I think he was going for chrome. The heater hose he had on the previous engine was painted chrome. It was all burger welds everywhere. It looked terrible. I mean, appreciate the job that he did, but he should stick with his day job, which maybe he shouldn't even stuck with that. That's besides the point. So we're going to go over some things. Get the light again. Make sure you guys can see things. So for starters, right here we'll start with the brake system. Willwood probably didn't need to go this route. The brake master cylinder that was on here might have worked, might not have, I don't know. I was having problems with getting the brakes to bleed. You probably want to see my face. I was having problems getting the brakes to bleed. Just kept on getting a spongy pedal. 3-4 months in, I'm still bleeding the brakes, trying to get those figured out. And I can't give up at this point because I've already got the engine sitting in it, transmission's in it. I can actually start it up. I can almost drive it, but I'm not going to without brakes. I can pull it in and out of the garage just to make sure everything moves. It's obvious the brakes are just absolutely crap. So I bought the Willwood thinking that was going to take care of the problem. Did not. So we'll flip you back around. So line lock here. That light's a little bright, ain't it? There we go. Line lock here. Jegs proportioning valve for the rear brakes. Line lock for the front. Originally I had this flipped around, and the only thing I could think of is maybe with the I got the inlet here. I think either one of these could have been an inlet, and then you could use either one of these for an outlet. It was something along those lines, or this was your inlet and you could have 3 outlets. I don't see any markings on it right now, so I don't fully remember. It is the Hurst line lock, I do believe. Yeah, I can see it on the side. You can't, but that's not the important part. As you can see right here, I've got a bleeder on it. After months of messing with trying to bleed these brakes, I stuck the bleeder on here. It's a bleeder kit thing you get from the part store. And almost immediately, as soon as I bled this, I got brakes. Brakes started working. It was working great. Then you got your jegs, proportioning valve. Didn't want to go with anything too big or fancy. This one seems to work. I can turn the knob back and forth to adjust it. I think I've got it fairly close or whatnot. So if I would have known, it evidently matters which way you may mount these. I don't know if they're supposed to be laying like mounted to your inner fender well here or what the deal is, but for some reason I was getting air in it and I could not get the air out. Total pain in the butt. Fighting with that for several months. So if you're putting a line lock on, be aware, get yourself a bleeder. If you can't get your brakes to work, put a bleeder on it. So now on this, I did buy these valve covers off eBay. They was I bought just the aluminum ones, non-painted or anything. Took these to a guy that I know that does powder coating. They are powder coated red now to match the truck. Not necessarily exactly, but they're red. I got my Holly breather. Nice looking one there. Also red. Since the truck's red, I went with everything red. Same thing with the carburetor. Red. Some things to mention, if you're heed my previous warning, if you want to do this, don't. The water pump right there, you can see how much clearance is there. There was less clearance. So right here where I mounted the radiator, this rubber bushing right here, that used to be behind this plate and the core support there, so it would be out a little bit more. The rubber gives it a little bit of to keep holding its tightness. Didn't want it straight on metal contact or metal to aluminum, whatever. I had that, like I said, behind it. And when I was up to the racetrack and got after my first 2 runs, when the transmission broke, I did pop the hood and I noticed you can see the indent in the radiator from the water pump. So didn't have enough clearance. There was maybe 1/4 of an inch. Evidently you need at least 3/8 of an inch to 1/2 an inch of clearance, because the engine will shift. May not necessarily do it when you're just out on the regular road, but if you're on a prep track running, that engine can move once you go taking off and everything else. But Edelbrock Performer RPM air gap intake. I've got a 870 CFM double pumper Holly carburetor. I've got a gauge here for my fuel pressure, fuel regulator here. I've got filters here. I've got one more filter underneath the truck. I do have don't remember which one's which. One inlet, one return. This is probably my inlet, that's probably my return. This goes to my carburetor. Summit Racing little AN filter. I've also got a gauge here on my oil relocation kit. That was from Moroso. You can see it down in there, kind of. It's a tight fit. So mounted it there. I made a bracket, or it came with the bracket, then I made a bracket that bolts to the ears, the engine mounting ears for the LA style mounts, and then just made a bracket to mount it there. If I'm out here, I can just see the oil pressure just by the gauge. I've got a digital gauge inside. If I ever have any question on which one might be reading properly or not, I can just look at that. Putting the gauge at the carburetor is a good idea. That way you know what your pressure is at your carburetor. Doesn't really tell you much when you're going down the road, inside driving, going down the track, whatever it may be. But if you're out here trying to tune something, you can tune it. I believe you've probably seen the hood where the scoop comes through, feeds directly to the filter. Whether or not it actually works that way or not, I don't know. Probably not from things that I've seen. So let's go in here. I'll show you the interior. I should probably grab a light. Turn that light off, save some battery power. Alright. Inside, I've got my gauges. Got them all from Autometer. I've got the fuel level gauge there at the top left. Below that's the oil pressure gauge. I got a volt gauge. Got the tach. Got the water temperature and wideband. It was a factory automatic truck, so you do see the prindle there. It does have a shifter in it now, because it's a 5-speed. Made that shifter. Bought the handle. It does have a momentary switch, so you use that for my line lock. When I'm on here, I can just have my finger press it and then just let go. Worked out great. Seeing that it was a automatic truck, I did have to add a third pedal. That is a whole nother story in itself. Transmission tunnel is modified, so as I may have previously stated in other videos, I bought a Dakota, 96 Dakota, to get the front suspension and stuff from, steering components, whatnot. So it was also a 5-speed. It was a V6 model, but the transmission tunnel was the same. So cut the tunnel out of it, welded into this. There is a bit of a size difference, so you can see, probably not that well on camera, but where it curves right here. This size is the ram50 tunnel. This size out here, clear out there, is the Dakota V8 or V8 or V6, whatever, the newer Dakota transmission tunnel size. So I did have to form some metal to go into the smaller size. It works out fine. I got clearance for everything underneath. If you see the little burn spot, I should probably mention right here, it wasn't for clearance for the seat bracket. It was just to make it a little bit more level. Did the same thing over here. This one over here might have been for a little bit of seat clearance. As far as the seats go, this seat is a Jeg seat. This one, I've got, let's see, this belt. So I've got it on the highest bolt in the front, the second one down in the back. This other seat, I've got second one down in front, second one down in back, and even with the Jag seat sitting back further, it still sits more at an upward angle. Not very relaxed at all. So I might have been able to do a little bit more. I don't remember, but then it put it may have put your legs up too high in front. But I think there's a clearance issue. Don't really look like it from right here, but I don't think I could have done any more further in the back because I would have hit the bar back there. Sparco seat, a lot better. More relaxed. Either seat to sit in is nice and tight on you. They both feel nice. They hug your waist. Makes you feel like you're laying in between two fat girls. If you're a fat girl, I hope you don't get offended. If you do, well, lose some weight. If you don't, then great for you. You should be happy with your body no matter what. And if not, then make yourself happy with it. Make your body work for you. So that's my rear street tires. I can't see a whole lot over here. I do still have my gas tank lid. It's just there, not being used. Then on the back here, I do have a hitch on the back. That way I can pull a trailer in case I do go on a drag week. Aluminum fuel cell. A couple more stickers. That one's from Speedway. You should tell by the S. On it, I've got the lines right there. I got my my feed line and return. You're probably thinking return, but what's that line on the top? Well, there's a second return. Then you also have your breather. So both lines, all three lines actually come up through here. I've got them going down through the bed right here. That way they're not underneath around the axle, the rear end. You got to tie these lines up at some point. They're not a big deal, just laying here like they are though. So I've got these going down through over here. They are up just underneath the bed, and then they run across. Got my fuel pump underneath. I've got a filter underneath down there also, along with some shut-off valves. So the reason why I've got the two return lines is I'm running a fuel pump for fuel injection. Lighting here is terrible. So I'm running fuel pump for fuel injection. Everybody was telling me, oh no, you can't do that. It's impossible. You can't run a fuel injection fuel pump for a carburetor. And I said, no. I said it is possible because I've done it. I've had this engine on my engine run stand and only had one regulator on it. Given the fuel feed line and stuff was much I was able to get that down between the 6 and 7 psi that I needed for the carburetor. Worked just fine. And then once I put it in this truck, I used same brand and everything fuel pump. Seeing as the feed line was much longer, the return line would also be much longer. I didn't want to just mount the fuel pump itself directly inside the bed. Because the last things inside the bed looks better. If you can keep it hidden underneath the truck, personally I think it just looks better. So I want to put it underneath the truck, and it is towards the back of the truck, but it was still with a longer feed line, return line, and I even tried putting a longer or a bigger return line on it, bigger diameter. Still didn't take care of the issue. So there is actually two regulators. So the first regulator you seen underneath the hood feeds back here to one of these return lines, whether it's that one or the other one. I believe that it's the other one. This feed line here, or return line, goes underneath and feeds the second regulator that's underneath. So I'm reducing most of my pressure from the first regulator It is the same brand as the one underneath the hood. Same make, model, everything else. And then I'm doing the final adjustments out here to get it down to the 6 or 7 psi, or 5 to 7, whatever it is. And no, you don't want to run more than 7 psi when you're doing it, when you run the carburetor, because it will cause too much pressure inside the carburetor and feed everything too much or more fuel than what you plan on. So it was a little bit of a learning process. That was my first time doing one of these, but in all reality, the options to go from either a carburetor style fuel pump or a fuel injection style fuel pump, to me, the fuel injection style fuel pump was just better because the price, at the very least, the price. You can pick up a fuel injection style fuel pump for $30, $50, just about anywhere. You don't have to order one directly from Jegs or Summit or one of these other racing forums. You can just go to your local Advance, O'Reilly's, AutoZone, whatever's nearest to you. You can pick one up. They normally got one in stock, and if they don't, you can get one within a day or so. And then you look at the price on a carburetor style fuel pump. You're damn near have to get one from Summit or Jags or someone. And you could be looking $300 or $400 getting one from Holly, whatnot. They are expensive, a lot more expensive, and anything that I've seen about them, people are replacing them a lot more often. So even if you do have to replace the fuel injection style fuel pump more than what you would on a regular carbureted one, $50 versus $300 or $400, I can replace it 6 times per every one time of those and still be making out just fine. So that's the direction I went with. Yeah, you gotta get a second regulator, run an extra return line, and you still should have a regulator either way, whether you're running a carburetor style fuel pump or fuel injection style fuel pump. Something with the return line, that way your fuel pump isn't being overloaded. It can run freely at its own pace, just openly, keeping fuel flowing through it, not bogging down and anything else. So hopefully you found something useful in this video. I'll show you the scoop since we're standing here. I did make the hood scoop. That piece of metal is actually part of a different hood. I think it was off of a Buick or Olds. It was a bad hood, it was dented, had some damage in one of the corners, something like that. So it was laying around, cut a chunk out, shaped it, welded it. I did use a little bit of Bondo to make it smooth in right there all the way around. I'm not a body person, so it don't look great, but if you look close, you can see a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Like I said, not a body person, looks good from 10 feet away, that's all that matters. And I've got hood clearance now for my breather, because I couldn't put a breather on it before and have the hood closed. So you guys take care. Thank you for watching. Hopefully, like I said, you got some kind of use out of this. If you're trying to do one of these builds, good luck. There's just a lot of work. But thank you for watching again. We'll see you later.